And,
was she?
Senator Schiff,
was she
if
right?
you worked for me, you would have been fired because you were censured by Congress for lying with your
We can stipulate to, you can stipulate to all your personal attacks on the Democratic members of the committee.
Personal attacks. You've been attacking my FBI director. You've been attacking my office. You've been attacking.
But what we're interested in,
borders are.
What we're interested in is the answer to these oversight questions.
You want your
you were asked by my colleague. You were asked by my colleague.
Attacking good people.
Regular order, Madam Chair, so I can ask.
What unfolded in that Senate chamber was nothing short of explosive. Attorney General Pam Bondi came face to face with Adam Schiff, and by the end of it, Schiff was completely humiliated. Every attack he threw at her backfired spectacularly. She exposed his bias, his hypocrisy, and his desperate attempt to politicize the Justice Department for headlines. This was a fiery exchange, and Bondi didn't just defend herself, she obliterated Schiff's credibility right on live TV. Before I dive in, make sure you click that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of these major political showdowns.
Senator Tillis. Senator Schiff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Attorney General Bondi, at your confirmation hearing in January, made a clear commitment you would not politicize your position. We are here today, your first oversight hearing 9 months into your tenure, at a time when hundreds of career prosecutors have quit because they were required to take unethical actions at odds with that promise, or feared that they would have to take such actions if they remained on the job. When over 1,000 former federal prosecutors have sounded the alarm about the unprecedented degree to which the powers of DOJ are being abused to go after the president's enemies. I approach this hearing with a heavy heart. As a former federal prosecutor myself, I served in a department that, whether it was under a Democratic or Republican president, would never use the office to go after the president's enemies or to hide the corruption of his friends. But today, the Justice Department has been used to cover up the possible corruption of the mayor of New York or of a high-level administration official taking $50,000 reportedly in cash in a bag, or a child sex predator who befriended the president and some of his cabinet members. And instead of preventing partisan weaponization, your department has engaged in a brazenly political prosecution at the president's explicit direction. The department has become President Trump's personal sword and shield to go after his ever-growing list of political enemies and to protect himself, his allies, and associates. My questions therefore focus on these two themes: hiding the corrupt acts of his friends and prioritizing the political prosecution of his enemies. So let me start with the shocking allegations of bribery and pay to play. 2 weeks ago, 4 major media outlets reported that Tom Homan, the president's top deportation official working in the White House, took $50,000 in cash in a bag from undercover FBI agents in September 2024, just over a year ago. According to these reports, Homan indicated he would facilitate securing contracts in exchange for money once he was in office in a future Trump administration. Reportedly, this exchange was caught on tape. Rather than pursue this investigation without fear or favor, the department and the FBI under your leadership or that of your predecessor before you confirmed quietly shut it down. Once news broke, your deputy and FBI director issued a joint public statement confirming that the Trump administration closed the investigation. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt denied Homan took the $50,000, telling a reporter, quote, "Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight." So today I hope you can help us get our facts straight. Was that true, what the White House Press Secretary said when she denied Homan took the money? Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, as I stated earlier, I was not in office. I was not confirmed when that was handled.
So does that
Deputy Attorney General Blanche and Director Patel said that there was no evidence that Tom Homan committed a crime. Yet now you're putting his picture up to slander him.
No, I'm putting his picture up showing an interview he gave with, I think, Fox, in which he was asked explicitly about these allegations that he took a $50,000 bribe, and he refused to answer. He said he didn't answer the question whether he took the money, so I'm asking you the question. Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, I answered that question multiple times, And frankly, you know,
Well, I don't think, with respect, I don't think you did, but in case I just didn't hear you, what is the answer? Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, that happened prior to my confirmation as
I understand,
Attorney
but do you
General.
know-
I said that.
Do you know, sitting here, whether
All
he
I
took the
know
money?
is that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and FBI Director Patel said there was no case. And Caroline Leavitt is one of the most trustworthy human beings I know.
So
And,
was she?
You know,
was
Senator
she?
Schiff,
Was she
if
right?
you worked for me,
Was
you
she-
would have been
what-
fired
excuse
because you
me.
were censured
No,
by Congress
you-
for lying with your
we can
egregious
stipulate to. You can stipulate to all your personal attacks on the Democratic members of the committee.
personal attacks. You've been attacking my FBI director. You've been attacking my office. You've been attacking.
But what we're interested in.
Borders are.
What we're interested in is the answer to these oversight questions.
You want your
So
no,
you were
oversight.
asked
You
you were
want your
asked by
5
my
minutes of
colleague.
fame
You were asked by my colleague.
attacking good people.
Regular order, Madam Chair, so I can ask a question. You were asked by my colleague from Vermont whether you will support providing a video or audio tape, if it exists, of Mr. Homan taking $50,000 in bribe money from the FBI. Will you support a request by this committee to provide that tape or tapes to the committee? Yes or no?
Senator Schiff, you can talk to Director Patel about that.
Well, I'm talking to you about it. You're the Attorney General. This will be your decision. Will you
You
support?
don't have to tell me what is my decision and
Well,
what is
then-
not
then-
my decision.
then-
I
and
said
you- and
you
you
can
don't
talk
have
to
to-
Director
and you
Patel.
don't have to try to-
You think
you
you've
don't
got a
have to-
gotcha with Tom Homan, our borders are,
excuse me, you
who's
don't-
been out there
excuse me.
fighting for our country
Madam
since
Chair,
Donald Trump took office.
I'm trying to ask you a question. Regular order, please. And you don't have to defer to the FBI director to pass the buck. So I'm asking you, will you support a request so that the committee, or indeed, I believe the American people, should be able to see that video or audio tape? Will you support that request?
Will you apologize to Donald Trump
So
for
I
trying
guess,
to
I
impeach
guess the
him
answer is you won't support that
after
request.
you now know that
So
Joe
let
Biden
me-
tried
let
to
me
cover up
do
Hunter
this.
Biden's involvement with
Excuse
Ukraine?
me. Let me do this, because I think it's valuable that the American people get a sense of what you've refused to answer today. So these are just some of the questions you refused to answer, or have answered with personal attacks on members of this committee. You were asked whether you consulted with career ethics lawyers, as you promised you would do during your nomination hearing, when you approved the president receiving a $400 million gift from the Qataris. You refused to answer that question. You were asked who or what role you may have played, or who played the role in asking that Trump's name be flagged in any of the Epstein documents gathered by the FBI. You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether Homan kept the $50,000 bribe money. You refused to answer that question. You were asked whether Homan paid taxes on the $50,000 bribe money. You refused to answer that question. You were asked, did career prosecutors find insufficient evidence to charge James Comey? You refused to answer that question. You were asked, how are military strikes on these boats in the Caribbean legal? And you refused to even answer that question.
You
were
have
asked,
a law degree,
excuse me,
Senator Schiff?
excuse me.
Adam Schiff opened the hearing swinging wild accusations, claiming the DOJ under Bondi was Trump's personal sword and shield. But right from the start, Bondi stood tall, calm, and laser-focused. While Schiff tried to sound righteous, his voice cracked under pressure. He brought up old debunked claims, citing unnamed sources and anonymous officials. But Bondi wasn't having it. She hit back, saying, "Senator, I deal in facts, not fiction. And unlike you, I don't make headlines by twisting the truth." The room fell silent. Schiff's face turned red. That was the moment everyone knew. This hearing wasn't going his way. Schiff's big gotcha moment? A supposed $50,000 bribery scandal involving former Trump deportation chief Tom Homan. He waved papers, showed photos, and demanded Bondi confirm the story. But Bondi dismantled him in seconds. "That case was handled before I ever took office, Senator," she said firmly. "And there was no evidence of a crime. Your accusations are reckless and politically motivated." When Schiff tried to press again, she cut him off. "If you worked for me, Senator, you'd be fired for lying." The crowd gasped. Schiff stumbled over his notes. That fiery exchange made it crystal clear. Schiff came to grandstand. Bondi came with the facts. From there, things went downhill fast for Schiff. He started shouting, interrupting Bondi, trying to regain control of the room, but Bondi didn't flinch. She looked him straight in the eye and said, "I'm here to do my job, not to play politics with people who can't accept the results of an election." Boom. You could feel the tension crack through the chamber. Even other senators had to step in to restore order as Schiff spiraled, accusing everyone of cover-ups. It wasn't oversight, it was chaos, led by a man desperate to stay relevant. When Schiff demanded to see an alleged tape of the bribery incident, Bondi shut that down too. "Talk to Director Patel," she said sharply, "and stop wasting this committee's time with political theater." Then she turned the tables completely, pointing out Schiff's own record. "You were censured by Congress for lying to the American people," she reminded him, "and yet you dare lecture others on ethics." The room erupted. Schiff tried to shout over her, but it was too late. The damage was done. Bondi had just flipped the entire narrative in her favor. By the end, Schiff was visibly rattled. Bondi remained composed, firm, and unbothered. When Schiff tried to enter partisan letters into the record, Senator Moody shot back, reminding everyone that the lead author was a known political ally of Jack Smith, exposing the bias behind Schiff's evidence. Bondi simply smiled and said, "Truth doesn't need a PR team, Senator, only lies do." And that line summed up the whole hearing. Pam Bondi walked out stronger than ever. Adam Schiff walked out humiliated, his credibility in tatters, his narrative collapsing right before his eyes. This wasn't a hearing. It was a reckoning. Pam Bondi stood her ground, defended justice, and reminded Washington what real leadership looks like. If you think more Americans need to see this side of the story, hit that subscribe button right now, and let's keep exposing the truth the mainstream media won't touch.